All right. What's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. The time where I'm at right now is 4 minutes until 8 p.m., and it is January 5th. 2025. I hope I've been saying 2025 at the beginning of these live streams because my mind is still in 2024. It still feels weird in 2025. But anyway, got a lot of things coming on this channel this year, and especially today, we're starting our new Book to React series right after this live stream, so stay tuned for more content. We're going to be reading a book about sex between black men and white women before the end of slavery. This is a book by Martha Hodes that I've been holding on to for some time. I didn't know when's the right time to start reading it, but why not kick off January with that book for the Book React series? And also, we have some more content. We have a review for the film Booty Talk coming soon between Acti and I as well. And also go subscribe to Backpack Bandits, like I always say. Anyway, so we're going to be starting off reading the news today by talking about a topic that's close, near, and dear to my heart, which is about Americans leaving America. And this was published on the New York Times today. The hard reality American expats quickly learn. This was published today, and it's in the opinion section. Now, as you know, I'm an American expat living in Budapest, Hungary. I've lived in Serbia, lived in Bosnia, lived in Turkey, lived in, I'm going to say anywhere I stayed longer than a month. Anywhere I stayed longer than a month, I'm going to say I lived in. So yeah, lived in Serbia, Bosnia, Turkey, Mauritius, Kenya, Tanzania, and Indonesia, Tunisia, of course. And those are all the countries that I've been in, and I'm very proud and happy and fortunate that I've been able to live this life. It has not been easy, but it is a life that I encourage more Americans to try to live. But let's see what the New York Times has to say over here. Oh yeah, Acti said Albania. Did we spend 3 months in Albania? Did we? Because I only count a place where I spent a month at least. And did we spend a month in Albania? I forgot. I don't know. Either way, I'm going to mark Albania out of my life. That chapter of my life never happened, never existed. But anyway, let's read this story here about Americans going abroad, going to foreign countries, and what the hard truth is. Because a part of me feels like this guy, Paul Thoreau, is just going to write this story to try to dissuade Americans from moving abroad. Acti says, at least a month, think, LOL. Either way, I don't count it. I don't want to count that I lived in Albania. I don't want that stench on me. Anyway, we're going to read this story real quick. So, does this annoying American rant sound familiar? Call this a government. Why just look at it and see what it's like? They call that government. A man can't get his rights in a government like this. Sometimes I have a mighty notion to just leave the country. Says I, for 2 cents, I'd leave the blamed country and never come near it again. I says I'll never vote again. Them's the very words I said. They all heard me, and the country may rot for all me. I'll never vote again as long as I live. If you're happening to guess Ellen DeGeneres, you'd be wrong. It is Pap Finn, who for his obnoxious nativism would probably be a Donald Trump supporter today. Joined to Huck in our national masterpiece, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, voicing a complaint that you've perhaps heard since the recent presidential election results were announced. Some people have acted on the threat, finding refuge in various countries overseas, this oddly at a time when millions of people are contriving ways to come to America. I think I read Huckleberry Finn in high school. I think it was assigned reading. I don't know if I ever finished it. Either way, I think that's the book. I don't know if it's Tom Sawyer or Huckleberry Finn, where that little white boy was pals with like an old black man who was enslaved or was still a slave, and he kept just calling him the N-word. And I'm like, why in high school can we read this? Anyway, I don't know what Acti deleted. Okay, Acti says, why don't you pick up a book, Mob Eternal? Hey, man, Acti, go ahead and keep smacking down a white supremacist. Smack a white supremacist. Acti just saw Rosewood, everybody. She turned up. She turned up on any racist white folks out there. Anyway, let's continue here. So what seems a contradiction is resolved in my core belief that expatriation, like old-fashioned laborious travel, is flight and pursuit in equal measure. It is both the desire to leave home and the passion to find something new, to pick up stakes and discover who who you are in a different landscape and culture. Pap's rant was the inner voice I channeled more than 50 years ago when I began writing my novel, The Mosquito Coast, in the 1970s. Years of long lines at gas stations, the Arab oil embargo, punitive interest rates, sagging morale, and Japanese takeovers of high-profile American companies. My main character, Ali Fox, ranted like Pap about America's decline and, suiting the action to the word, departed for Honduras with his wife and 4 children in the hope of prospering in someone else's country. But of course, he remained his stubborn American self and went much too far, and his expatriation ended badly. I gotta say this, I think, in my opinion, if you're an American and you move to Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, Costa Rica, basically anywhere still in the Americas, that's not that far off. And if you can't adjust living in Latin America or Europe as well, then yeah, stay your ass at home in America. If you can't, if you're gonna stay somewhere for a long time, and especially you can't learn Spanish, learn to appreciate spicy food, drink from a coconut every now and then, you know what I mean? Learn to take things nice and slow and easy, then yeah, stay your ass at home. But generally, it's not that hard to adjust outside of America, like for a reasonably open-minded American. I would say so. So yeah, if you can't even make it in Honduras, please go back to, Michigan. Anyway, I told a similar tale in my novel, The Low River, some 30 years later, and in many short stories. The theme has been much on my mind. I spent 27 years between 1963 and 1990 as an expatriate, 6 years in Africa, 3 in Singapore, 18 in Britain. I hate when white folks write and then they say, I spent years in Africa. What does that mean? Africa is 52 different countries. So which part of Africa did you stay in? Were you in South Africa? Were you in Cameroon? Were you in Egypt? Were you in Morocco? Because that gives us more context about your experience. I was not joyriding. I was first inspired by President John F. Kennedy's inauguration speech, one of the wisest and most eloquent ever delivered. Sentiments unspoken today. Let both sides unite to head in all corners of the earth the command of Isaiah to undo the heavy burdens and let the oppressed go free. But under my cloak of idealism, I was procrastinating about my future. I felt I'd find answers by being alone and far away. I became a teacher in Africa and found myself transformed. So enlivened by the experience, I kept traveling and working abroad until I quit teaching in 1961 with 3 novels published, moved with my family to Britain, devoting myself wholly to writing. I don't think I changed anyone's life much as a teacher, but I know that expatriation was the making of me, liberated me, humbled me, revealed to me who I was and what I wanted my life to be as a writer. I often thought of Rudyard Kipling's lines, God bless the just republics, they give a man a home. Nelson Moreno says, a girl wanted to play with my toes today, but I said no. Shout out to Nelson Moreno, always with the funny comments. I gotta say this, man. This guy's life story sounds a lot like mine. I mean, I became an English teacher when I moved to Africa. It encouraged me to continue to travel the world. And yeah, I want to be a writer as well. In fact, I am a writer now. So y'all go subscribe to Culturalist Theory and check out all the pieces I write for there. We just finished the piece for Diddy. Yes, your boy was working on Diddy and that thing came out fire. So I hope it comes out soon and I hope y'all get to check that out because I'm not over there bashing a black man for going through the criminal justice system that the white man put him through. That's not what I'm going to do. Anyway, anyone with money can live abroad. It's a sort of an extended holiday. The true test of an expatriate is holding down a job, learning a language, paying taxes, passing a local driving test, negotiating the culture, trucking to unbudgeable authority, and now and then enduring the gibes of coworkers. I was conspicuous in Africa as a Mzungu. He was a Mzungu. I knew he was white. See, I have good white dar. I know a white man just by his writing. I know a white man, because if you're even entertaining the idea that America ain't that bad, you gotta be white first and foremost. And then secondly, to call Africa just Africa as if you don't want to dictate the country that you were in, like that lets me know off top that that's a white man reading or writing. You get what I'm saying? So yeah. So I was conspicuous in Africa as a Mzungu and an Angmokwi, red-haired devil. Oh, he's really white. This man, white, he got red hair. Now we got red bones. We got red bones in Louisiana. I'm telling y'all don't really know black people until you see a red black person. I'm telling y'all. One of the girls in my middle school, I don't know what happened to her. Red black girl. Y'all ain't never seen a real red bone. Niggas be throwing the term light skin and red bone around interchangeably. There are red black people. I've seen it with my own eyes in Louisiana, a lot of them too. She had red hair, literally red skin, literally red skin. If you've ever seen that music video to that song, Chopper, Chopper Style, Chopper Style, Chopper Style, they got a red bone in there. And that's a very Louisiana song. I just put y'all on game. Go look at that video. Chopper style, chopper style, chopper style. There's a red bone twerking in that thing. A real red bone. Anyway, I went off topic. I just started thinking about red bones. Anyway, so he was a red-haired devil in Singapore. And very often an English person would begin a sentence, well, you Yanks. There is also an existential, parasitical, rootless quality to being an expatriate, which can be dizzying. You are both somebody and nobody, often merely a spectator. I always felt in my bones that wherever I went, I was an alien. That could not presume or expect much hospitality, that I had nothing to offer except a willingness to listen, that wherever I was, I had no business there and had to justify my intrusion by writing about what I heard. Most travel and a lot of expatriate life can be filed under the heading trespassing. See, this is the experience of white American expats. This is not the black expat experience. I gotta say this. Because from my black ass, wherever I go, people don't be asking me questions. Man, why is America so fucked up? Why is it like this? They always say, why don't you want to go back? But if you're an older white man, and you, especially if you were traveling like in the 80s, 90s, whatever, and America was doing horrible stuff like invading Iraq and Afghanistan and convincing the whole world that their lies about weapons of mass destruction were real, and also the idea of Vietnam was still fresh in people's minds, you have a lot to answer to. But by and large, a lot of people around the world know the Black American struggle, so they're not gonna be like making me apologize for America. And in fact, because of my loudmouth ass, I'm over here I'm the one bad-mouthing America at the house parties anyway. So people don't even be like coming at me like, hey, you Yanks are like this. Ain't nobody gonna say that. You get what I'm saying? All right, Nelson Moreno says, I highly recommend cold showers, got really soft skin now. We're gonna be talking about cold showers soon. Nelson Moreno is like ahead of his time. Or just click the link in the description, which you can read all the articles. Anyway, my travels have taken me to many of the places where Americans have sought refuge in spite of local conditions. Portugal. Nelson Moreno, you're from Portugal. Let me know, do you see a lot of Americans out there? Do you have a lot of fleeing, musty American tethers running around Lisbon? Let me know. Are there a lot of American expats in Portugal? And if so, Nelson, I feel for you. Okay? Portugal with its parking problems, Costa Rica with its venomous snakes, Italy and France tangled in red tape, cartel-beleaguered Mexico, overcrowded Bali, and many others, which of course also have their salubrious compensations, food, flunkies, and sunshine. The Republic of Malta attracts many seeking fine weather and island life, retirees and expats, among them a disillusioned Ryan Murdoch, whose excellent recent book, A Sunny Place for Shady People, depicts Malta as corrupt and violent, the food revolting, the islanders xenophobic, and a risky place for any Maltese to criticize the government. Okay, Nelson Moreno says, if I was white, I would be a passport bro. Man, if I was white, I would have syphilis. If I was white, I would have syphilis. That's all I gotta say. But what am I gonna say? All these problems he's listing about other countries. Portugal has parking problems. Costa Rica has venomous snakes. What do we have in America? What do we have in America for the 6-year-olds? Nelson Moreno says, I have met 2 bald Black American expats in Portugal. I didn't know I went there twice. Don't tell Acti. Nelson Moreno, don't tell Acti, man. Come on, I have not been to Portugal. Don't you snitch on me now. Don't you fucking snitch on me, bitch. Anyway, as a writer, I naturally think of other writers who, for material, for refuge, choose to live abroad. Mark Twain was happy in Germany. Henry James migrated to England and never looked back. James Baldwin thrived as an expat in Turkey and lived in France. Edith Wharton also lived in France. Josephine Baker, who was a writer as well as a force of nature, was the ultimate expat, though exile is nearer to the mark. I want you to think about this. What do James Baldwin and Josephine Baker have in common? What do James Baldwin and Josephine Baker have in common? And why do you think they thrived abroad? Of course, Mark Twain, he was a rich, happy so-and-so American, right? But still, why do you think James Baldwin and Josephine Baker thrived? Anyway, O. Henry William Sidney Porter, fleeing the law, escaped to Honduras. Paul Bowles retreated to Morocco, but when I was writing The Pillars of Hercules, I saw him, age 83, crouched on a mat in his chilly apartment in Tangiers, and I thought, I don't want to end up like this. My friend John Irving is a contented Torontonian. My fellow traveler, the Iowan Bill Bryson, is presently a country squire in Britain. Traveling through England for his book English Hours, James made a wise observation about Americans. We seem loosely hung together at home as compared with the English, every man of whom is a tight fit in his place. The tight fit extends beyond England to many of the world's expat havens, where traditional cultures confound foreigners with the strictures of their religions, their finicky nuances of manners, their sinister yet legal punishments, their inexplicable pieties, their sneering absurdities of class, their rigidities of caste. As if we don't have that in America, the rigidity of caste. What do you think the race problem is in America? Nelson Moreno says, I hate when a hot blonde Mormon missionary from Ohio. All right, I have met a hot blonde Mormon missionary from Ohio. Would join Mormon church for a high tier snow bunny. Oh, you're saying I would join the Mormon church. Listen, the highest quality of pogs in America are in the Mormon church, because those are the purest bred of the whitest white people. There's white people and then Mormons. When you look at a Mormon, you are looking at an Anglo-Saxon. When you look at a Mormon, you are looking at a Viking. Them bitches are white. Okay, so I understand, Nelson Moreno, because you really love white women. I understand. So you have good taste, my friend, because if you're going to get a white woman, then a Mormon is the tier that you should be aiming towards. I'm sorry. I'm going to continue here because we're wrapping up this article. Anyway. Yes, we have them in the United States too, in a modified form, but their severity in other countries provokes their poorer citizens to flock to America for its more loosely hung society. I also think the tight fit is one of the reasons that many exasperated expats, wary of the bubble they're forced into, eventually return clearer-sighted about the world and home. No. I love how white folks just have the luxury of being like, well, I guess I'll go back to America. After living here as a country squire in the British Isles for many a year, I shall return to America and everything shall be dandy and fine. I guess how I felt about the Nixon administration wasn't so bad. And then they just return, and then they just come back. As if niggas have the luxury, of saying, well, I guess I should go back to Mississippi. I guess I should go back to Maine. I guess I should go back to Pennsylvania. I guess I should go back to where niggas live in hell on earth. This was the worst article I've ever fucking read. Fuck Paul Thoreau. Bitch ass motherfucking. Fuck Paul Thoreau. Fuck him. Anyway, Nelson Moreno says, I Wikipedia the Mormon church and black people could only join in the 70s. Yeah, the Mormon church was hella racist. They said black people were going to hell naturally. They said just because you were black, you were born to go to hell. Up until the 1970s. I remember meeting some Mormons in Serbia, and I met up with them not because I wanted to join the Mormon church, but just because I wanted to get off on the history. And a lot of the Mormons don't even know their own racist history, so that's something for you. Nelson Moreno says, that info broke my heart. I wanted multiple Mormon wives. I mean, you can maybe get some now, but why you want to go fuck up that gene pool, man? Why you want to go fuck up that gene pool when those are the top tier snow bunnies? Let them be. Let them be in the Utah mountains, until they incestuously breed themselves out of existence. You know what I'm saying? Let them become blue blood Mormons until eventually the legged babies that they have and the four-eyed children eventually, perish. Let them breed themselves out of existence. Anyway. Another thing I wanted to talk about here. So a lot of y'all want to get fit this year. A lot of y'all in 2025 trying to get six packs. I know y'all want to try to get sexy like Simon Hill keeps it real. I know a lot of y'all want to get glowing skin like this handsome melanated black man right here. You feel me? So here are fitness tips from the experts at the NYT that they want to tell you so that you are ready for 2025. This summer's right around the corner, man. And so who's going to be the first to take off their shirts? Who's going to be the first to take off the shirts when we at Lake Balaton, or Croatia, when we in Naples, you feel me? Who's going to be the first to take off their shirts? Big Top will. Big Top will. Anyway, so this was written by Talia Minsberg, published on January 3rd, 2025. Okay, let's get the advice from Talia Minsberg. So, fitness advice on social media can be littered with misinformation and impossible promises. No single exercise can give you a six-pack. Aw. And because someone has a large following doesn't mean they're qualified to give fitness advice. So, wait, I can't listen in to David Goggins? Aw, said Dr. Amy Commander, the director of the Lifestyle Medicine Program at Massachusetts General Hospital. If you are setting a fitness goal this year, it's wise to steer clear of any fitness plan that promises a quick and easy fix. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Focus on finding movements you enjoy and building a regular habit rather than the latest miracle workout. I asked dozens of experts about the fitness trends that irk them the most and what they recommend doing instead. Skip the 75 hard challenge. I didn't know what 75 hard was. I thought my wife was watching some extreme porn when she said, hey, I want to try 75 hard. I said, girl, I ain't sharing. But 75 hard is the viral challenge that took hold last year. The key to mental and physical toughness, its proponents claimed, was following a set of daily rules for 75 days. Work out twice for 45 minutes, maintain a strict diet, drink a gallon of water, and read at least 10 pages of nonfiction, among other things. While the idea of transforming yourself in 75 days might sound appealing, the challenge is extremely unsustainable, said Victoria Seckley, a physical therapist in New Jersey and the founder of Train Smart, Run Strong, a running and strength coaching program. It is quite possibly the worst way to set good habits. Okay? Nelson Moreno says, these snow bunnies leaving me on scene. I need to level up. You need to level up, Nelson Moreno, by not running to the snow bunnies. You need to go for the Turk bunnies. You need to find yourself a nice Turkish girl and settle down. We're going to hook you up with a nice girl named Damla. Okay, a nice girl named Damla. We're going to get you, saying Evet at the altar. We're going to get you a nice Turkish girl, Nelson Moreno. Anyway, so exercising twice a day, especially if you are new to working out, is a good way to injure yourself and to create completely unrealistic expectations around exercise, she added. To build a healthy exercise habit, start simply and find an activity that you enjoy enough to practice consistently. If you have a specific fitness goal, consider hiring a coach or personal trainer who can work with you to develop an individualized plan. Acti says she's dead. Hold on, everybody. I got to check on Acti. Acti, you dead? Acti, you dead in there? Okay, she ain't dead. She just talking shit. Okay. Anyway, Nelson Moreno says, does she have Down syndrome? Does she have Down syndrome? If you're talking about Talia Minsberg, I guess so. Yeah, I guess maybe. I don't know. I think it was obvious 75 hard was absolutely not the best way to set habits. It just sounds like a stupid challenge for TikTok. Anyway, don't be fooled by targeted weight loss workouts. Whether it's a side plank for a flat stomach or Pilates for toned arms, TikTok and Instagram are brimming with videos that claim there is one move or workout that will help you lose weight in one area of your body. Long before social media, fitness magazines made many similar promises. But you should be wary of anyone promoting spot reduction or the idea that certain exercises will lead to targeted weight loss, said Ray Recklin, the founder of Ladies Who Lift in Chicago. While you can strengthen different muscle groups by working different parts of your body, you cannot target where you lose weight. Instead of hunting for one move that can do it all, practice a full body strength training routine twice a week, said Robin Lalonde, the head coach and owner of Edge Athlete Lounge in Chicago. If you prefer to work out at home, you can still build strength with little or no equipment. Okay, Nelson Moreno says, no, I meant that Turkish girl you said. No, Damla is a nice girl. If you meet a girl named Damla, trust me, she is not a gold digger. She is not materialistic. If you meet a girl named Damla, she's a perfect girl to take home to your mother. If you meet a girl named Damla, you should put a ring on it. Acti says 75 soft is the new challenge. 75 soft means when you tap that booty from the back, 75 strokes softly. Soft, that's 75 soft, and yes, that is a great exercise. Just count your strokes, soft taps from the back. Tap, 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 tap. Steer clear of what I eat in a day videos. Many fitness influencers share detailed videos of their meals and snacks, often including calorie counts and protein breakdowns. While these posts might seem like harmless entertainment, they often promote diets that don't fit everyone's needs. All of us have different heights, different weights, different body compositions, said Dr. Commander. And in some cases, comparing your own diet to what you see on social media might encourage disordered eating, said Megan Featherstone, a sports dietitian in Kent, Ohio. It's also worth remembering that those posts may not even be accurate. What someone shares may not be what they really eat on a day-to-day basis, particularly if they make a living promoting sponsored products. If you are looking for guidance on what to eat to support your fitness goals, you will be better off making an appointment with a nutritionist or a sports dietitian. I don't watch YouTubers. I don't be on Instagram, and I'm definitely not on TikTok. So half of this stuff they're talking about in this article about like influencers telling people like about spot reduction or what I eat in a day videos, I don't be seeing that in my timeline. Like the stuff I be watching is a lot of long form content, a lot of boring content, a lot of white guys talking about the political divides of our time. That's what I be watching. You get what I'm saying? And if you see this stuff in your timeline, let me know how you react to it. Anyway, Acti says, why are you so unhinged today? This is a normal live stream, Acti. This is a normal stream. Nelson Moreno says, you trolling Simon. She's probably high calories. She's the Turkish Rick Ross. She is not the Turkish Rick Ross. If you meet a girl named Damla, she is going to be fit, slim in the waist and cute in the face. If you meet a girl named Damla, she is going to be the one that you always want to chase. If you meet a girl named Damla, she's the one you can't replace. See, I still got bars. I still got bars. Don't fixate on whether your heart rate is in zone 2. My heart rate is in zone 22. My heart rate be beating like a motherfucker. When Acti lay on my chest, her head be bobbing up and down like she's listening to Daft Punk. You feel me? This shit is crazy. My heart is about to explode, low key. Nobody can take my Black American heritage for the fact that my blood pressure could beat Big Puns. My blood pressure would make Biggie Smalls say, baby, baby. My shit is out of control. So I don't know what heart rate in zone 2. Do any of y'all have a healthy blood pressure? Because I sure as hell don't. I know I'm going to die at 45. You feel me? Because I love MSG. I love pizza, nigga. I love Taco Bell, nigga. I'm probably going to die. And I know a lot of y'all going to be happy. I know a lot of y'all going to be happy when Simon Hill Keeps the Trail kicks the bucket. You feel me? But what the hell is heart rate in zone 2? What does that mean? Don't fixate whether your heart rate is in zone 2. This shows you how unhealthy I am and how I'm going to get right in 2025. Anyway. In recent years, everyone from running influencers to Andrew Huberman has claimed that low-intensity Zone 2 training might be the secret to better fitness. Zone 2 refers to the second of 5 heart rate zones, which range from a relaxed effort to your maximum intensity. Exercising in Zone 2 will help build endurance and develop your aerobic capacity, and there can be real benefits of spending a lot of training time at this effort, particularly for endurance athletes. But it can also be counterproductive to fixate on your heart rate, said James McCurdy, the founder and head coach of McCurdy Training, a coaching service in Flagstaff, Arizona. Many factors, including stress, weather, and sleep patterns, can affect your heart rate, and your heart rate data on a smartwatch or fitness tracker may not always be accurate. Okay. Instead, Mr. McCurdy recommended paying attention to how hard your workout actually feels. If you are focused on building your endurance, many of your workouts should be relatively easy. Aim for a place where you could hold a conversation. What matters most is actually feeling and intensity, Mr. McCurdy says. Okay, so basically zone 2 is like a certain level of heart rate that can, it appears to be low intensity, I guess, where your heart is like at a certain level that allows it to beat at, faster rates and makes your heart stronger, blood pressure less. I don't know. Being at zone 2 for me just sounds like basically when I first wake up. When I first wake up, my heart feels fine, generally. And then 3 minutes later, after I check my YouTube comments and I got like 5 white supremacists calling me the N-word at the beginning of my day, then that's when I realized, damn, nigga, I'm black. I'm still black. I have yet up and be a Jewish man yet. Why? God damn it. Anyway, Resist the urge to overshare your workout stats. If you use a fitness tracker, it can be tempting to obsess over the data it gives you. But while some stats can be helpful, it's far too easy to go overboard, said Catherine Larson, a cardiologist at the Sports Cardiology Clinic at the Mayo Clinic. She said that some of her patients are so fixated on their devices that at the end of the day, they've kind of lost focus on why the exercise is important in the first place. That can be particularly true if you share and compare your data on social media or apps like Strava. The truth in those numbers don't necessarily mean much without context, said Dr. Sekeli said. Instead of letting your watch or an online audience shape your sense of how you feel after a workout, check in with yourself first. Don't let the data dictate your day, Dr. Sekeli said. If you felt good, that's what counts, even if your stats aren't quite what you expected. Yeah, on my channel, I've shared a few times when I went running in the gym and my stats, and I also did that, really lame ab wheel workout video. That was just like a fitness challenge I wanted to do, just see what would happen, because one of my dreams in life is to have a six-pack. I always thought it would be cool to have a six-pack, but I can't get it because my daddy gave me a beer belly, man. Daddy gave me a beer belly, and I'm at 34. I know I need to cut down on what I eat, and I need to work out more, but goddamn, to have a six-pack is one of my dreams, man. To have my six-pack is one of my dreams, but I didn't get it with the ab wheel, and that was really lame because it fucked up my back forever. This side of my back permanently fucked up because of that goddamn YouTube video that I thought I would make. And I really did that shit for like 30 days for real. Woke up every morning, did 500 of them rolls. And man, one time, I swear to God, like I couldn't even sleep on this side, man. Like for days, like going to sleep was painful. And then I woke up and did it again. You get what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm going to continue here. So don't treat a cold plunge like a miracle cure. The social media hype around cold plunges is nothing new, but it's still going strong. Evangelists claim that a post-workout dip can regulate your immune system, cure depression and anxiety, and speed up recovery from exercise by combating inflation. I love taking cold baths. I love a cold shower. I love doing those cold dips. I love jumping in the cold ocean because I fucking hate being hot. I fucking hate being hot so fucking much. So I love getting in cold water. You get what I'm saying? Nelson Moreno says, I'm mostly skinny fat, but there's a six-pack outline. That's hilarious. That's hilarious, Nelson. Acti says that's her too. She says she got a six-pack outline. It's there somewhere. I know it's there. That six-pack outline is probably worse to have because it's like you're trying to get it, but it never comes. That shit gotta be more annoying. I'm at least blessed with like a good top. You feel me? Like your boy got chest, your boy got biceps, your boy triceps and shoulders. I'm built like a fucking barrel. I'm built like a undersized bodyguard to a Z-list celebrity. I'm built like a fucking, bouncer at a club for midgets. Those are the only people I'm taller than. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm built not to be that intimidating, but intimidating enough to anybody who's under 5'8". You feel me? Like, Nelson Moreno says, BBC genetics. Damn right, because I got that big brown cock. Big thick thing, swinging. Shit look like this. And it be pounding in your mama. Jumping in and out of your mama, nigga. Anyway, don't treat a cold plunge like a miracle cure. But while some studies have suggested that cold water swimming may improve mood and well-being, much more research is needed, Dr. Commander said. If you enjoy cold plunges, by all means, take a dip, she added. She even did it herself recently, purely as a social activity. But do it because it feels good. Not because you believe it is the key to faster recovery. I'm going to take a cold shower today in the middle of winter because it feels so good. I was sweating today. It's 0 degrees in Budapest. I walked outside and I was sweating. That's how much I fucking sweat, man. I fucking hate summer. I hate any places that are hot. I hate Jamaica. I hate any place that has temperatures above 20 degrees. I fucking hate you. All right. Also, Moreno says, my thighs are super thick, but I have no ass. Boy, you gonna get fucked on. Boy, you talking all that shit. Hey, talking about your thighs. Hey, what's happening? Hey, nigga, what's happening? Hey, what you got going on, man? Ass so fat, you can see it from the front. Anyway, on to our main topic for today. For the past few live streams, for the past few days, I've been talking about the terrorist attack that happened in New Orleans. And, we should never forget the major terrorist attack that happened from a very well-known and popular, unfortunately growing terrorist group in America. It's called Al-Qaeda. Yes, Al-Qaeda and the Cracker Band. Has anybody ever heard of these guys? They're popping right now. The Al-Qaeda and the Cracker Band have a enormous surge in membership recently. And it seems like their numbers are growing, and the amount of terrorism that they have done in our country has just been horrendous. And nobody seems to be talking about the terrorism from Al-Qaeda and the Cracker Band. So a day of love. How Trump inverted the violent history of January 6th. The president-elect and his allies have spent 4 years reinventing the Capitol attack, spreading conspiracy theories, and weaving a tale of martyrdom to their ultimate political gain. All right. So, yeah, this is a brief story right here talking about Al-Qaeda. Remember when all them white folks ran up in the Capitol and were beating police officers after a year of yelling back the blue and Blue Lives Matter? Hey, y'all remember that time, them white folks ran up in the Capitol and were hell-bent on killing a bunch of white people that they elected to represent them? Y'all remember when them terrorists did that? Y'all remember? I remember. I remember being in Serbia, watching on TV, just aghast, shocked. Nelson Moreno says, leave my mom alone, Simon, unless you take her to a date first. I'm going to take her on a date. I'm going to treat her well. I'm going to treat her well. I'm going to treat her like a lady. Anyway, let's go here. Dan Barry and Alan Thor wrote this piece for the New York Times, published on January 5th, 2025. In 2 weeks, Donald J. Trump is to emerge from the arch portal of the United States Capitol to once again take the presidential oath of office. As the Inauguration Day ritual conveying the peaceful transfer of power unfolds, he will stand where the worst of mayhem on January 6, 2021 took place, largely in his name. Directly behind Mr. Trump will be the metal and glass doors where protesters, inflamed by his lie that the 2020 election had been stolen from him, stormed the Capitol with clubs, chemical irritants, and other weapons. To his left, the spot where roaring rioters and outnumbered police officers fought hand in hand. To his right, where the prostrate body of a dying woman was jostled in the bloody fray. And before him, a dozen marble steps descending to a lectern adorned with the presidential seal. The same steps where 4 years earlier, Trump flags were waved above the frenzied crowd and wielded like spears, where an officer was dragged face down and beaten with an American flag on a pole, and another was pulled into the scrum to be kicked and stomped. Y'all remember when them white folks did that? And then they want to say black people are animals. Then they want to say black people are chimps. Then they want to say black people have no self-control. Then they want to say all this negative stuff about us, but look at them musty, dusty, no soul having, cracker-ass crackers. Look at them crackers. Look at them Al-Cracker-ass terrorists. Y'all remember that? Anyway. Nelson Moreno says they hate black people so much that they want to take down their own democracy. Ain't that a goddamn fact? Ain't that the truth? America is very low IQ. It sure is, buddy. It's a really low IQ country. Nelson Moreno says, she said, you look like my father. Hey, Nelson, I am not your father, nigga. I am not your father. I do not know your mother. I do not know them big booty Portugal pogs. I don't know them. Don't you be snitching on me, nigga. In the wake of the attack on the Capitol, Mr. Trump's volatile political career seemed over, his incendiary words before the riot rattling the leaders of his own Republican Party. Myriad factors explain his stunning resurrection, but not least of them is how effectively he and his loyalists have laundered the history of January 6th, a political nightmare into a political asset. What began as a strained attempt to absolve Mr. Trump of responsibility for January 6th gradually took hold, as his allies in Congress and the media played down the attack and redirected the blame to left-wing plants, Democrats, and even the government. Violent rioters, prosecuted, convicted, and imprisoned, somehow became patriotic martyrs. Nelson Moreno says, a black police officer saved dozens of them. Yes, I forgot his name. I think his name was Michael Goodman. That one black man shot that white woman in her fucking face, and that nigga saved America, because them crackers were this far away from killing all the senators that the white folks elected. Ain't that crazy? I'm so glad. I forgot his name. Michael Goodman, Michael Bird, something like that. That nigga shot that bitch right in the face. And we were so happy. This was the first time the police shot somebody and I actually said, God damn it, that was good. In a shot her right in the pussy. Shot her right in the pussy. Anyway, Nelson Moreno says, I wouldn't. Oh, that's funny. I went off on that tangent and Nelson Moreno, you wouldn't shoot that bitch. I know you would probably fuck her. You're probably fuck on her. Anyway, this shit is getting too wild. This shit is getting too wild. So this inverted interpretation defied what the country had watched unfold, but it neatly fit the persecution narrative that binds Mr. Trump to many of his faithful. Once he committed to running again for president, he doubled down on flipping the script about the riot and its blowback, including a congressional inquiry and 2 criminal indictments against him as part of an orchestrated victimization. That day was an American calamity. Lawmakers huddled for safety. Vice President Mike Pence eluded a mob shouting that he should be hanged. Several people died during and after the riot, including 1 protester by gunshot and 4 police officers by suicide. And more than 140 officers were injured in a protracted melee that nearly upended what should have been the routine certification of the electoral victory of Mr. Trump opponents, Joseph R. Biden Jr. Let's really think about that, man. 140 police officers were beat up by a group of domestic terrorists. Many people died. Several people died during the riot and after the riot. A woman got killed fighting for Trump because a black police officer said he wants to defend America. Think about this, man. This is not a game. And we all saw it happen live on TV. We all saw it happen live on TV. And the cracker won again. They let the blonde-haired, blue-eyed bimbo back in the office. Shows you this shit is done. This shit is done. We're witnessing the end of the American empire, the American experiment, the whole thing. All right. Nelson Moreno says, Simon, I rolled with it, but I will get back for you saying you wanted to crash my mom's. He crashed her like you wanted to crash my mom. I don't want to crash your mama, man. I was joking, man. You know I'm joking, man. Y'all come in here and roast me all the time. You should be able to take some back, man. You know I got love for you. I got love for you, cuz. And I'm not your father. I'm not your father. I am not your father. Anyway. Continuing. But with his return to office, Mr. Trump now has a platform to further rinse and spin the Capitol attack into what he has called a day of love. He has vowed to pardon rioters in the first hour of his new administration, while his congressional supporters are pushing for criminal charges against those who investigated his actions on that chaotic day. When asked about the reframing of the Capitol riot and whether Mr. Trump accepts any responsibilities for what unfolded on January 6th, his spokeswoman, Caroline Leavitt, instead referred in a statement to the political losers who tried to derail his career and asserted that the mainstream media still refuses to report the truth about what happened that day, she added. The American people did not fall for the left's fear-mongering over January 6th. The January 6th tale that Mr. Trump tells is its own kind of replacement theory, one that covers over the marble hard facts. That way a blue carpet will cover those tainted Capitol steps on Inauguration Day. So, what happened and why seemed beyond debate. Hundreds of thousands of tips, tens of thousands of hours of video footage, thousands of seized cell phones. The attack on the Capitol was, after all, the largest digital crime scene in history. The total estimated cost of its aftermath exceeding $2.7 billion. The Justice Department has experienced some setbacks in its criminal prosecutions, including a Supreme Court ruling that it overreached in using controversial obstruction statutes, but its success rate has been overwhelming. More than half of the nearly 1,600 defendants have pleaded guilty, while 200 more have been convicted after trial, resulting in sentences ranging from a few days in jail for misdemeanor trespassing to 22 years in prison for seditious conspiracy. The story told by many of the indictments begins with the mixed message speech delivered before the riot by Mr. Trump in a park near the White House. After falsely claiming that the 2020 election had been stolen, he encouraged people to march peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol, but reminded them that we fight like hell. Mr. Trump retired to the White House, where he watched the televised violence and ignored advice to tell the mob to leave. Then, after sending 2 tweets calling for peaceful protests, he posted a video repeating his rigged election falsehood and saying, "We have to have peace, so go home. We love you. You're very special." A follow-up tweet ended, "Remember this day forever." All right. Nelson Moreno says, you mean that's okay? Okay, let me open up that. Listen, guys, if you want me to read a story, we might read it live on stream. So if you put it in the chat, we might read that. Yeah, how a lone Capitol police officer lured rioters away from the Capitol chambers. I think, Eugene Goodman. I'm sorry. Yeah, this guy, 2 black men Two black men saved America that day on January 6th. Eugene Goodman, who is a patriot and a hero, and he should be rewarded. He should get $1 million for life per year from the government for what he did that day, letting the racist terrorist crackers chase him down. And also the guy, I believe his name was Michael Bird or something like that, who, shot that woman in the face. Anyway, continuing here. Condemnation came swiftly as shaken Republican leaders denounced him and Democrats moved to impeach him for incitement of insurrection. A seemingly chastened Mr. Trump called the riot a heinous attack on the United States Capitol in those early days. He referred to January 6th as the calamity at the Capitol and warned that lawbreakers will pay. The outgoing president called for national unity, but declined to attend his successor's inauguration. The Republican-controlled Senate acquitted him of incitement, but its leader, Mitch McConnell, declared him practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day. A sentiment apparently shared by most Americans, with nearly 60% saying in polls that he should never hold office again. Where were those 60% on election day? Because it didn't seem like it. But sand was already being thrown in the eyes of history. Before the Capitol had ever been rescued or secured, Representative Paul Gosar, Republican of Arizona, was asserting on Twitter that the events had all the hallmarks of Antifa provocation. Hours later, the Fox News commentator Laura Ingraham was telling viewers there are some reports that Antifa sympathizers may have been sprinkled throughout the crowd. And by morning, Representative Matt Gaetz, Republican of Florida, was claiming on the House floor that some rioters were masquerading as Trump supporters and in fact were members of the violent terrorist group Antifa. Mr. Gaetz would become President-elect Trump's first choice for Attorney General before being derailed by scandal. Nelson Moreno says, "Low Americans don't think it will happen again." LOL, Americans think it won't happen again. Oh, it's going to happen again because Trump will run again. I promise you. I'm telling all of y'all this right now. For MAGA dick suckers who be, in my channel, and for all the people who consider America the greatest country on earth, Trump is going to run again. He's going to try to steal it again because he doesn't feel like he lost the first time. He doesn't feel like he lost the first time he did lose to Joe Biden. He's going to try to get it again. Trump is going to try to run again. And he's going to try to steal it. And it will happen again. There will be another January 6th. I promise you, it will happen. Okay. So, according to MIT Technology Review, this fabrication was repeated online more than 400,000 times in the 24 hours after the Capitol attack, amplified by a cast of MAGA influencers, Republican officials, and members of Mr. Trump's family. The former president remained mostly silent in the weeks that followed, but in a late March interview with Washington Post reporters that was not made public until months later, he provided an early hint of how he would frame the January 6th attack. The day he had previously called calamitous was now largely peaceful. The mob that stormed the Capitol had been ushered in by the police, and those who had rallied with him beforehand were a loving crowd. A deep state conspiracy theory. Through the spring and summer of 2021, Mr. Trump's Republican allies sought to sow doubt and blame others. It was as if Mr. McConnell, among other leading Republicans, had never publicly declared Mr. Trump responsible, as if the world had not seen what it had seen. In early May, on the same day, House Republicans stripped Representative Liz Cheney of Wyoming of her leadership role for labeling Mr. Trump a threat to democracy. They used an oversight committee hearing to minimize the riot. Representative Ralph Norman of South Carolina questioned whether all those rioters wearing Trump gear and shouting pro-Trump chants were truly Trump supporters, while Representative Andrew Clyde of Georgia likened much of the trespassing to a normal tourist visit. This benign interpretation of January 6th gave way to a much more startling theory, posed in mid-June by the Fox News host Tucker Carlson, who before his firing 2 years later was among the most watched commentators in cable news, that the riot had been a false flag operation orchestrated by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Mr. Gaetz and another Republican loyalist, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, quickly seconded the deep state conspiracy theory, while Mr. Gosar entered the article on which it was based, written by Darren Beattie, a former Trump writer who had been fired for speaking at a conference beside white supremacists, into the congressional record. Soon after, Mr. Trump broke into months-long silence about January 6th. At an early July rally in Sarasota, Florida, he invoked the name of Ashley Babbitt, a pro-Trump rioter who had been fatally shot by a Capitol police officer while trying to breach the House floor, where lawmakers and staff members had sought safety. She was fast becoming a martyr to the cause. Shot, boom, Mr. Trump said. There was no reason for it. Who shot Ashley Babbitt? Here's the martyr. You know, in Islam, we have something called the Shaheed. In Islam, we have something called the Shaheed. And Shaheeds are martyrs who die for Islam in the sake of jihad, et cetera, like that. These people who claim to love America and claim to be patriots and claim to uphold the Constitution and democracy made a Shaheed out of this woman. They made a Shaheed out of this woman who was literally trying to work, who gave her life trying to overthrow a democratically elected president. Make it make sense. Make it make sense how Al Cracker, these white supremacist domestic terrorists are able to still be walking freely. For wearing this shirt, you should be in Guantanamo. For wearing this shirt, bro, you should be like locked up in jail. For wearing this shirt. For wearing this shirt, bro, you should be exactly where all the other people who got locked up for January 6th. You should be there just for wearing this shirt. JS Venture says, beautiful shot, more beautiful if it was blacks for Trump. Exactly, man. And the guy who organized the January 6th thing, it's Ali Alexander, by the way, who is a black person, who is also a pedophile, by the way. And there's a lot of pedophiles running around in Trump land. But Ali Alexander, I want y'all to look this guy up. Ali Alexander right here is the black man, unfortunately, who organized January 6th. He's also been exposed to be a pedophile, and he's also big friends with Nick Fuentes. Make it make sense. Make it make sense, Black MAGA. Make that make sense. How you got black folks piling around with Nick Fuentes, a person who thinks black people are lesser than dogs. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, it would have been better if Ali Alexander got capped up too. He should have got murked. He should have got murked that day. Anyway, the former president also referred to the jailed rioters, floating the specter of a justice system prejudiced against conservatives. He questioned why so many people are still in jail over January 6th, when Antifa and Black Lives Matter hadn't paid a price for the violent protest that followed the murder of a black man, George Floyd, by a white Minneapolis police officer in 2020. The fog machine of conspiracy was turned up a few notches that fall when the Fox Nation streaming service released Patriot Purge, a three-part series in which Mr. Carlson expanded on his specious contention that the Capitol attack was a government plot to discredit Mr. Trump and persecute conservatives. I swear to God, I wish I was on Fox News so I could just say anything that comes out of my ass and white folks believe it and eat it up. And yeah, government conspiracy, yeah, Antifa, yeah, I'll eat it up. Give it to me. They're so fucking stupid. They're really fucking dumb. Anyway, the widely denounced claim was deemed so outrageous that two Fox News contributors, Jonah Goldberg and Stephen Hayes, resigned in protest. In a scathing blog post, they wrote that the program was a hodgepodge of factual inaccuracies, half-truths, deceptive imagery, and damning omissions. Mr. Carlson's documentary, they wrote, creates an alternative history of January 6th, contradicted not just by common sense, not just by the testimony and on-the-record statements of many participants, but by the reporting of the news division of Fox News itself. Martyrs and vigils. Amid the conspiratorial swirl of Antifa agitators and deep state plots, a related narrative was gaining traction. The glorification of those who attacked the Capitol. Instead of marauders, vandals, and aggressors, they were now political prisoners, hostages, martyrs, patriots. This movement's energy radiated from a troubled detention center in Washington, where a few dozen men charged with attacking police officers and committing other violent offenses were held. A defiant esprit de corps developed among them in the so-called Patriot Wing, where inmates in prison issue orange gathered every night to sing the national anthem. Outside the razor wire wall, their supporters kept vigil in a spot dubbed the Freedom Center, Freedom Corner. Led by Miss Babbitt's mother, among others, they set out snacks, flew American flags, and live-streamed phone conversations with inmates. Sympathy that might have been reserved for the injured police officers was directed instead to those who had assaulted them. Mr. Trump, whose January 6 actions were now being investigated by the Justice Department and a bipartisan House Select Committee, emerged in 2022 as their number one sympathizer. Nelson Moreno says, elect Musk so they can fight the billionaire elites. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what I mean by that because Trump is a supposed billionaire, at least in the minds of his supporters. And they still don't realize that Trump being in office is a type of class warfare. They really let the billionaire class play in their faces. Because remember, America will never be class conscious because we all assume that one day we'll be rich too. Americans will never be class conscious because we assume, all of us as Americans, hey, maybe I'll be rich too, so maybe we shouldn't raise taxes on the rich. I guess my kids don't need universal health care. All right, at a mid-January rally in Florence, Arizona, he described the January 6 defendants as persecuted political prisoners. Later that month in Conroe, Texas, he promised that if he was reelected and if pardons were required, we will give them pardons because they are being treated so unfairly. Mr. Trump's counteroffensive began taking shape. The House Select Committee, whose members included Ms. Cheney, became, in his words, the Unselect Committee, and the prevailing narrative of January 6 as an insurrection, a lot of crap. One of his most repeated contentions was that the Democratic House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, had rejected his recommendation to have 10,000 soldiers present on January 6th. But subsequent investigations demonstrated that it was his own military advisors and not Mr. Pelosi who blocked the idea, concerned with both the optics of armed soldiers at a political test and the possibility that Mr. Trump might invoke the Insurrection Act to place troops under his direct command. There is absolutely no way I was putting U.S. military forces at the Capitol, the acting defense secretary, Christopher Miller, later told investigators. Doing so, he said, could have created the greatest constitutional crisis probably since the Civil War. As the Select Committee began holding hearings in early June 2022, Mr. Trump used speeches in his social media platform, Truth Social, to clap back at the damaging evidence and testimony. One post read, "The so-called rush on the Capitol was not caused by me. It was caused by the rigged and stolen election." In a speech in Nashville that month, he dismissed the riot as a simple protest that got out of hand, again floated the possibility of pardons, and furthered the false flag theory by mentioning Ray Epps, a protester falsely portrayed by Mr. Carlson on Fox News and Republicans in Congress as a government plant who had managed the riots. His efforts seemed to be working. By mid-2022, an NBC News poll found that fewer than half of Americans still considered Mr. Trump solely or mainly responsible for January 6. For some supporters, though, Mr. Trump was not doing enough. In the late summer, he agreed to meet two advocates for the January 6 defendants at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. Julie Kelly, a conservative journalist who had written skeptically about the Capitol attack, and Cynthia Hughes, a founder of the Patriot Freedom Project, which supported the inmates' families. Miss Hughes was also an aunt of Timothy Hale Cusanelli, a professed Hitler fanboy. His aunt is campaigning for her son, who was a Hitler fanboy and who had spent time in the Patriot Wing. They told Mr. Trump that the defendants and their families felt abandoned by him. Ms. Kelly later recalled that some of the federal judges in Washington he had appointed were among the worst in their handling of January 6 cases. These jurists had earned the ire of people like Ms. Kelly by repeatedly rejecting arguments that the defendants could not get fair trials in liberal Washington or have been unduly persecuted for their pro-Trump politics. The judges also knocked down the contention that nonviolent rioters should not have been charged at all, ruling that everyone in the mob, no matter how modestly behaved, contributed to the chaos at the Capitol. After his meeting with the woman, Mr. Trump donated $10,000 to Miss Hughes' organization and told a conservative radio host that if he was elected, there would be full pardons and apology to many. Days later, Miss Hughes was given a speaking role at a Trump rally in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Come on now, this is insanely crazy. This shows you how crazy white folks are. White folks are literally losing their goddamn minds. This woman's nephew is a fucking Nazi. Not like me just calling him a Nazi like as a communist. Her literal nephew is a fucking Nazi, a Hitler fanboy, locked up in jail for storming into the Capitol. And Trump let this woman come on stage as she campaigns for her Hitler-loving nephew to get released. Put that in your mind. Imagine Barack Obama. Let somebody up on stage to speak at one of his rallies when he's running for re-election. And his nephew is a fan of ISIS, or a literal ISIS terrorist locked up in jail. How the right wing would react to that. But literally, her fucking nephew is a Nazi, a literal Hitler fanboy in jail. Nelson Moreno jumped into the chat. All right. Nelson Moreno says, I mean that the USA is very low IQ. I agree with you there, buddy. It sure is. Nelson Moreno says, remember that Blue Lives Matter, people delete emotion. Me as a commie, I should be the first one standing up saying, yeah, murk them pigs. Police officers are all bastards. And basically all of them can rot in hell. I should be the one saying that. But I know the consequences that would come for even me just saying that or me putting that out there into the universe. The white supremacists literally killed police officers on January 6th. And they get to go on stage at Trump rallies. Make that make sense, man. Make it make sense. All right, I'm going to continue here. Miss Hughes' Patriot Freedom Project closed out 2022 with a fundraising holiday party at the Capitol Hill Hilton. Inside of the riot scene, children received gifts, inmates spoke to the crowd from jail, and tearful family members shared their hardships. There was also a surprise video message of encouragement from Mr. Trump, who had recently announced his candidacy. Then, just before Christmas, the House Select Committee released its final report, based largely on testimony from those inside Mr. Trump's orbit. It accused him of repeatedly lying about a stolen election and summoning the angry mob that thwarted a peaceful transition between administrations. In the report's forward, Ms. Cheney recalled how her great-great-great-grandfather answered Abraham Lincoln's call to defend the Union by joining the 21st Ohio Volunteer Infantry. He fought for 4 years, she wrote, for the same essential principle the committee was impaneled to protect, the peaceful transfer of power. Oh, man, this is insane, man. This is just insane stuff. It's insane, man. Oh, man. So I'm going to wrap it up here because my blood pressure is definitely not in zone 2. My blood pressure is not in zone 2. So I'm going to wrap up this live stream, man. You can read the rest of this story on New York Times if you want to. JS Venture says Black Twitter cared more about Drake than this stuff. Wait now, hold on, wait. What did Drake do? Hold on, wait. Drake is more important than all of this stuff. Hey, what Kung Fu Kenny up to, cuz? Anyway, but yeah, like you were saying, JS Ventures, people were really more concerned about Not Like Us and A Minor. They were more concerned about that shit than literal Nazis hanging out with Mr. Trump right here, man. Ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy? Ain't this crazy? But yeah, I'm going to wrap this up on this live stream, but I'm about to go live again to read a book. I know you niggas hate reading books. I know a lot of you niggas see a book and you run the other way. When a book is opened, niggas just start fleeing into the door as if a white woman were waiting for you outside. I know a lot of y'all niggas really hate reading books, but we're going to start a new book on our Book React series, and it's about sex. It's about sex. It's about interracial, black sex during the antebellum period in America. White women were chasing BBC when we were still enslaved, okay? So that's gonna be a fire book. I know you niggas don't like to read, but I got some fire shit coming for y'all. And if you got a book you want me to read, send it to me. Put it in the chat. I will try to read it. So stay tuned for the live stream on Book React coming soon, all right? And y'all be easy out there. Simon Hill keeps the trail.